Are prices finally cooling off?
That's good news for the holiday season.
Just in time for the holidays. Appeals for gratuity are growing.
I really wonder, where's the line?
And it has the internet tipped off. The Panthers trying to pick up a win.
Turnover here, chance in front of this time, Kachuk scores!
Before heading home. Plus, an unlikely friendship between neighbors in Florida with a 40-year age gap.
It added some years of happiness to my life.
These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Hello, South Florida. I'm Amanda Gray.
I'm Samantha Gutierrez. Today is Friday, December 2nd of 2022.
Live from the South Florida Media Network's Biscayne-based studios in North Miami, this is SFMN Newsbreak.
Have we hit a price plateau? Signs this morning that inflation may have leveled off. As the holiday season kicks off, a new report suggests that Americans may experience some economic relief.
The Commerce Department released a report yesterday that said a key measure of consumer prices slowed down in October. This means that inflation rates are dropping across the country where they have been high since the pandemic. Gas prices are also lowering, with the national average for gas dropping below $3.50 a gallon for the first time since February. President Biden spoke on Tuesday about the slowing inflation rate.
Prices for things like clothes, television, and appliances are going down. That's good news for the holiday season.
Although these numbers are expected to bring holiday cheer, experts warn that prices could strike again.
Tip or skip, shoppers are seeing more of a tip request in growingly unusual places. The network's Alexa Velez has advice from the pros on how to navigate this so-called tipflation.
I actually prefer not to call it tipflation, but a tipping invasion.
It's the unwelcome shopping surprise that has social media buzzing.
20% gratuity is already included in the bill. Girl, it's water.
Tips, a staple of the service industry, now extending far beyond.
In the drive-thru, and they've been asking for a tip.
On TikTok, you'll quickly find folks aren't too pleased about it.
Ordering it online myself. It says, would you like to add a tip at the bottom? A tip? For what?
That's a little too crazy for me, and I refuse.
So what's the deal?
The wage moving, I see becoming more widespread.
Professor Dipayan Biswas has studied tipping for a decade. He says this new tipping trend has started with the boom of digital kiosks. Then the pandemic, plus inflation,
added fuel to that fire.
More businesses allowing tips to make jobs more lucrative at your expense.
That's my biggest worry, that it might actually affect the industry where it really matters the most.
This is Mr. Manners.
The very concept of a tip is that we are rewarding a service employee who's being paid less than minimum wage.
Thomas Farley has a tip without hesitation list, and just 3 people make the cut: servers, bartenders, and washroom attendants.
I really wonder, where's the line? It is accelerated beyond all of our wildest nightmares.
To avoid tipping, pay cash. But if plastic is a must,
you need to own your position. You do not need to feel guilty about it.
There's power in saying no.
Now that's worth a tip.
I'm Alexa Velez reporting for South Florida Media Network.
Rail workers are on the job this morning after the U.S. Senate passed legislation to avoid a rail strike. The final vote was yesterday. The legislation eliminated the risk of a rail shutdown that could have had catastrophic impact on the U.S. economy. The decision comes after the Senate rejected a proposal to provide a sick leave that was supported by progressives. Senators instead moved to unanimously pass a House bill that excluded the proposal. The bill will now be sent to President Biden to be signed into law.
This morning, Twitter woke up with one less user. Kanye West, who has legally changed his name to Ye, had his account suspended for a second time after violating the rules on inciting violence. Earlier yesterday, he tweeted an anti-Semitic image, and his account has been locked once before after a series of anti-Semitic comments. Elon Musk, the new owner of Twitter, posted, "I tried my best," after suspending his account.
It's official. There will be more games in the college football playoffs for the 2024-2025 season. The playoffs are expanding from 4 to 12 teams beginning in 2024. Earlier in the year, the board voted in favor of this expansion, but beginning in 2026. However, the management committee asked that it happen sooner. The national championship game for that postseason will be in Atlanta. Then, in 2026, it will be here in South Florida.
Sticking with sports, the Panthers poured in a flurry of goals in a game that ended after midnight.
That's still ahead, and so is the story.
And I wanted to make her feel welcome And I said, welcome to the neighborhood. And from that is history.
An act of kindness sparks a friendship between Florida neighbors with a 40-year age gap. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
I could really use a new tablet. I just don't have the money.
Let me ask you something. Do you have a Pell Grant?
Yes?
You do know you can get a free tablet, right?
Did you say free?
Yeah, free. It's simple. And the application is done in the store.
I could really use a tablet.
Go get one. Another satisfied customer. Stop by Pantotech in the Graham Center at FIU MMC today to speak with one of our associates to get your free tablet.
Type 2 diabetes can have a big impact on your life. But how can it be prevented? Well, the first step is knowing if you have something called prediabetes. Take the 1-minute risk test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
I know kids worry about a lot of things. Getting enough food to eat shouldn't be one of them. Through a nationwide network of food banks, Feeding America serves virtually every community in the United States. See how you can help your community. Visit feedingamerica.org.
If a natural disaster shows up at your doorstep, you can't just turn it away. That's why it's important to prepare for emergencies before they show up. Go to ready.gov/plan to find the tools and tips you need. And make a plan today.
You really have done as much for us as you think we've done for you.
Fast friends, a pair of neighbors here in Florida finding common ground despite a 40-year age difference. 2 homeowners near Tampa are looking after each other.
As Vanessa Reza from WFTS reports, the neighbors are proving that kindness pays dividends.
Meet Willie Thurman, or as his neighbors know him by, Mr. Willie. He's a man who loves his yard work.
This goes in this one.
The thing is, this isn't his yard.
His thing was, I'm going to help you out with your neighborhood if you need like your house, your lawn, any kind of like stuff. So it's a nice balance. I wouldn't want any other neighbor. And if I do ever move, they have a very high standard of what they have to do as a neighbor.
Earlier this year, Willie took on Valerie Viverito's yard work too. At 81 years young, he asked his neighbor, 40 years his junior, if he could help by starting with the lawn. She moved in across the street.
Morning, Mr. Willie.
And as a first-time homebuyer, there's a lot she wasn't expecting, especially a neighbor like Willie. What began as a simple hello turned into a thank you for being a nice neighbor card. Then came the unexpected yard work and a snowball of kindness.
And I know she was new, and I wanted to make her feel welcome. And I said, welcome to the neighborhood. And from that is history.
Did you ever think that you have this type of bond?
No, I just know people that know me like me. And I knew she would like me. Anyone doesn't like me, they don't know me because I don't have time to dislike. Life is too short.
Willie doesn't have much family who lives nearby. And as a transplant from New York, Valerie is starting fresh in a new city. Their morning greetings are now daily check-ins, weekly meals, and baked treats. But more importantly, for Willie, it's a new sense of belonging.
It added some years of happiness to my life. And I can't say how many because I just felt like, why am I here? You know, I don't do anything, I just here. But I look forward to a good morning, Mr. Willie. I wouldn't trade her unless I could get 2 for 1, but otherwise I wouldn't trade her for anything.
I'll see you at 4:30.
The feeling couldn't be any more mutual for Valerie. In Tampa, Vanessa Ariza, ABC Action News.
Pour another cup of coffee for the Florida Panthers fan in your life because the game ended in the early hours this morning. Last night's game was in Vancouver. After losing 2 straight games in Canada this week, the Cats finally got a win, and it was a high-scoring game. Florida got 3 unanswered goals in the first period and never looked back. Final score, Cats 5, Canucks 1. The final next game is tomorrow night in Seattle.
That's all the time we have for Newsbreak. I'm Samantha Gutierrez.
I'm Amanda Gray. Get more news anytime at sfmn.fiu.edu.